Picture this. You drop a coin into a fountain, and then the countdown begins. 7 days.
7 days? I can find my true love with a penny for 7 days in my dreams? 7 days.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining Alphia and me today as we talk about a 2014 Hallmark film called In My Dreams. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channels so that you don't miss any of our new content. We occasionally do collaborations as well as individual reviews. Today's movie stars Katharine McPhee and Mike Vogel. Now, when I first watched this a few years back, I recognized McPhee as a runner-up from one of the earlier seasons of American Idol. I guess she was beat out by that Taylor Hicks guy we never heard from again. Anyway, I found out from IMDb that Mike Vogel was a soccer coach in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I thought I recognized his face and his name. And also, I just discovered that the actor who played adult Troy Tatterton in the Heaven movies, Jason Cermak, he was in My Dreams as well, according to IMDb, unless some random troll put him in the cast list as a joke. He played someone named Dan. I don't know who that guy was. Doesn't seem to be anyone important, or I would have probably recognized him, because I just recently rewatched Dark Angel, Fallen Hearts, and Gates of Paradise, as those who follow my channel will probably remember. So, quit wasting our time, you're probably saying. What is this movie about? And I'll tell you. It's about a young woman named Natalie Russo, who owns an Italian restaurant that used to belong to her late mother. By the way, can the female protagonist ever have a boring job in these movies, like call center rep, or video store employee, greeter at Walmart? They're always working for some New York fashion magazine, or working at a publishing house, or struggling to make it big as a romance writer, or, in the case of this movie, running their own Italian restaurant. The name of the restaurant is apparently the Italian word for holly, and is hard for the average person to pronounce. Natalie isn't getting many customers, and her friend Charla suggests that could be because of the opera music that plays from the speakers when you walk in. Who wants to listen to opera while dining on authentic Italian cuisine? Not many folks, apparently. Then there's Nick Smith. His mother is one of those intrusive types who keeps trying to set him up with women. Oh, I forgot to mention that his mother is played by Poltergeist star Jo Beth Williams. She looks different now. She was in tons of TV movies back in the early 90s. In this movie, she gets on my nerves. Her adult son wonders how she knows he's back with his ex Jessa, for example. Is she psychic? Is she spying on him? No, she's apparently stalking his ex on social media. Nick is an architect who has recently entered a bridge design into a competition that we are made painfully aware has no cash prize award, so he's basically doing this for the recognition alone. His boss isn't too happy to hear Nick has been talking to clients and entering competitions behind the boss's back, so Nick and his coworker Joe eventually decide to quit and go into business together. Both Natalie and Nick are single for much of the movie, in case you haven't figured that out by now. They also both have names that begin with N. I wonder if that's a coincidence. This is Hallmark, so probably not. At the beginning of the movie, they each throw a coin into Hayward Fountain, and so, in keeping with the old legend of the fountain, they dream about each other for 7 nights in a row. And it's bizarre how this works, because apparently if one of them gets a call from an ex late at night, or goes out dancing with their flirtatious new chef, it interferes with their ability to meet up and talk in their dreams. Apparently they have to fall asleep at exactly the same time. I'm confused about the rules here. In the first dream, they meet at the fountain. In the second dream, they're on a rooftop looking out on the city skyline. In the third dream, they're at a gazebo in the snow and spend some more time getting to know each other as they walk to a restaurant. In the next dream, Nick is tied up with his ex, who has called him late at night to take care of a big mouse in her apartment. So Natalie is all alone, searching for Nick to no avail. In the fifth dream, Natalie is tied up dancing at a club with her chef Mario, and so it's Nick's turn to fruitlessly search for her. And in the sixth dream, they're on a carousel, and Natalie is beginning to feel the hopelessness of pursuing a relationship with a dream guy she believes to be only in her imagination. By this point, she knows the story of the Hayward Fountain legend, and she knows that time is running out because they only have 7 nights to make their love happen in the real world. And apparently the carousel is a metaphor for how they're going round and round in circles. She actually comes out and says that. During these dreams, they talk about things like their hopes for their careers. Natalie tells Nick about amaretti cookies. By the way, Italian desserts are crap, and my father is 100% Italian, so when Nick practically dies and goes to heaven at the taste of her little Italian cookie, I know this movie is a total lie. She also teaches him to love broccoli. She assures him that he's never had it the way she makes it. He tells her about his architect dreams. They encourage each other. He tells her to put her own spin on the restaurant, and so when she wakes up, she decides to ditch the opera music and change the name from some long Italian word to Russo's Italiano. It seems she made this change within the span of like a day. I'm not sure how she managed that so fast and had the new sign up and everything, but this is a Hallmark movie. It's not supposed to make sense, I guess. They cross paths a few times as the movie winds to a close. Will they manage to meet face to face in real life before the 7 days are up and they're lost to each other forever? And like in some summer country club episode of Saved by the Bell, Natalie's friends must work together in her absence to impress the food critic, who's of course chosen this particular night of all nights to stop by the restaurant. Because, hell no, Natalie's not going to miss out on her dream man over something so inconvenient as work obligations. Some thoughts I had about this movie and the characters. First of all, Natalie. I know this will sound incredibly superficial, but I didn't care for her bangs. I'm a 90s kid. I spent like a whole year growing out my bangs in 1995, and I didn't do that for nothing. It's because I don't care for them on grown women. They're for little girls in 1991. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Nick was a bit bland, right down to his last name of Smith. He spent about half of the movie having awkward conversations with his mother, though not as awkward as the conversations his mother and sister had about him behind his back. And we're led to believe his parents' relationship is the reason why he can't commit. I thought it was going to turn out his parents were divorced, but no. Turns out his parents actually have the perfect marriage, and that's why he's afraid of finding the right woman. He doesn't think he will ever be able to match this relationship his mother has with his father. A father, I might add, who is pretty much never mentioned until the final part of the movie. Interesting. Of course, Nick is an architect, because I'm pretty sure that's on the list of jobs hot guys have in these Hallmark movies. Right next to landscaper. By the way, his childhood sweetheart Lori Beth is apparently into landscaping, so that's maybe why he didn't have that job. For variety, of course. Lori Beth is the childhood sweetheart of Nick's that his mother tries to set him up with as an adult. She is clingy to the max and has already updated her status to in a relationship after like one casual date. Nick's mother says she's had 2 or 3 engagements that were broken off in the past few years. Gee, I wonder why. So needless to say, she and Nick don't work out. Then there's Nick's ex Jessa, who his mother keeps saying he's still in love with, but shouldn't be. His mother is way too invested in her son's love life. Jessa isn't going to work out because she's in the way of the plot. Plus, she's a bit of a control freak, not wanting Nick to quit the job he hates because she's concerned about money. Also, she looks way too much like Jessica Wakefield from Sweet Valley High, and that can't be a good sign. Jessica Wakefield is the absolute devil incarnate, but that's a whole other video. The Italian chef Mario is a real jerk at first. He antagonizes a customer who wants more garlic in his Alfredo sauce. Mario takes offense because it has to be done his way or it's not authentic Italian cooking. But he does ease up a bit on his stubbornness and allows Natalie to put her own spin on the menu items. Natalie agrees to go on a date with Mario, but we know that won't work out because aside from not being the male lead, he's also just way too stereotypically Italian, whereas she's not. When best friend Charlotte trips in the restaurant and Mario catches her and the two of them gaze longingly into each other's eyes, we know that's going to be the end of Natalie's brief workplace dalliance. Never a good idea, by the way, and Charlotte is a coworker too, but we don't care about her love life, so it's okay. Oh, and I just want to add that these characters keep tripping on the kitchen floor all the time in this movie. That kitchen floor is seriously a safety hazard, and they better fix that if they don't want a lawsuit. Charlotte is the typical female friend who knows it all and only has her BFF's best interests at heart. So anyway, I would give this movie maybe a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I mean, it's certainly a fun movie, especially if you're into romance. But that's about all I have to say. What are your thoughts, Alphia?
Thank you, Jennifer. Your recap was beautiful. Now, let's get into this 2014 movie. Now, this movie came out a year after I graduated. And I did not watch it until this year. Now, let's get into the characters. Let's get to the mode. It put me in a non-Christmas version of Snow Globe. Now, if you haven't watched Snow Globe, I suggest you watch it, but I know some people don't like to watch off-season Christmas movies, but, watch Christmas movies when it's not Christmas, but when Christmas time comes, definitely look up Snow Globe. It has Christina Milian in it, and it was a good movie. And, let's get in my dreams. So Natalie owns a restaurant, and not just any restaurant, her mom's restaurant. Her mom is sadly deceased, and her friend Cheryl helps her run it, and a guy named Mario, and it's another young gentleman that helps too. So Mario comes, and Mario started a little fling or whatever, like a little tiny fling or whatever. It looked like they had chemistry, but then it looked like he also started having chemistry with Cheryl. But have y'all ever noticed, like, some movies they have where one of your friends end up with somebody you used to date or somebody you used to like? And I'm going to go ahead and say it, and it does happen in the real world. I'm just going to say I just don't do that. I mean, that's just no. But, I mean, it happens, but, I mean, that's like, shouldn't that be girl code, Jennifer? That is my question. Shouldn't that be girl code? But anywho, Natalie is, before she started talking to Mario, having a little fling with Mario, she went to the park one day, and of course she went for a florist, and I would say a florist that was in the park, and she gave her a coin, and she drops it into the fountain. Her and the young gentleman, Nick. Now, Nick is an architect, and his mother, Charlotte, she's very up in his business because, she wants him to get married, have kids, because she wants to be a grandmother. And she's already a grandmother because her daughter, Nick's younger sister, is married, already has kids. Now, Nick is still suffering from, how do I put it? Ex-girlfriend. I guess they was engaged. I just want to say this. If she broke up with you to go be with somebody else, I don't think you should. I suggest anybody. If somebody breaks up with you and they go be with somebody else and then they want to come back to you, no. And Nick was still caught up on her. And Charlotte was telling him about a young lady from, that moved away when he was in middle school. And she's back in town and was so in love. And this is middle school love. So I'm guessing this is like puppy love. So she wants them to, get together or whatever. So he ends up dropping a coin. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Him and Natalie was actually there at the same time when they dropped the coins. They were on opposite sides of the fountain. So mind you this. They go to bed later on that night and they start dreaming about each other, and they're dreaming, they're talking, they're communicating. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Natalie and Nick kept crossing paths, not that far from each other. He came to her restaurant, whatever. He was the reason why she changed her name of her restaurant, make it your own, because she didn't feel like it was her own or whatever. And she ended up changing her name because of Nick. And Nick actually brings the girl that actually broke his heart, the one that broke up with him. This is how they end up back together. She called him one night because it was a rat in her house, and she was scared. Mouse, rat, whatever you call it. And she calls him, and then she puts it on social media. And of course, who sees it? Miss Charlotte, his mother. And she is not fond of them getting together. Even when she had a dinner party and she invited Nick over, he brought Jess, and she was not happy. Now, Nick is a talented architect. He works for a company, and he wants to bid for a design. So basically, he's been doing an outside drawing, basically, of a bridge. And he tells Natalie about it in the dream or whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and say the dream was so interesting how they were having dreams of one another together. They were talking, and then a few nights they had missed each other or whatever. I think one of them didn't go to bed or whatever, and if they did they didn't go to bed at the right time they were supposed to. And I think Natalie missed like a night or two, and he missed a night or two. It was just like, okay. Then she goes and sees the florist, and the florist is like, she doesn't really, it happens or whatever she said, basically, but she doesn't believe in it, whatever. And in the end, they come meet the florist and at the park that's giving the flowers away, and they show that they're together. Now, how they ended together, they had 7 days to meet each other. They had the 7 days they had to meet each other, or it wouldn't work, or whatever. Can you imagine just putting a coin and you get your true love? Like, if it was that easy, I would have dropped a penny a long time ago, and I wouldn't be in this whole single era, or, so I would just be chilling, married, having kids, everything. But it doesn't work that way. And of course, love is not like it used to be. It's different now. But yes, of course, you drop a penny and you get a wish and you're with your true love. And Charlotte goes to Natalie restaurant. She's trying to advocate for her son. Her daughter's like, Mom, stop. And I like how Natalie got Nick's niece to eat the broccoli. And because she wouldn't eat broccoli or whatever. And it was just such a good movie. Even from the moments, like there was one time they were so close because they walked by each other, they didn't even notice. And I'm just like, y'all each other right there. Even in the end when they was trying to meet at the fountain, they kept missing each other, and then they finally met, and it was so cute. And I really liked it, y'all. It was a really cute movie. And I told you it reminds me of Snow Globe. I'm about to watch me Snow Globe. That was really good. I like that Natalie and Nick got together or whatever. I do wish that Hallmark would have made a remake. Well, not a remake, but a part 2 of what happened. Now, I don't know what they would have called it. I don't know. Maybe Wedding of My Dreams. I don't know. But, I mean, they could have made another movie out of this. But also, I don't think it's ever too late to make a remake. Sometimes, depends on how long it's been. I know it's been over 10 years, so because it makes 11 this year. So, I think they could have made a remake. Maybe it's still not too late, but I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're going to make a remake, do not change not the customers, the characters. I know that some people don't act no more, but I'm going to go ahead and say if the actor or actress does not act no more, just, don't do it. Don't do it, because I don't want to see nobody else doing that role. And sometimes some people that has not done, wasn't in the original movie can do it really good. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. Hallmark movies just hit different, especially the older ones. They have some ones now that still hit good, but In My Dreams is really good. I'm glad I finally set out the time to watch it, and I really did enjoy it. Natalie and Nick deserved a happy ending, and Nick did not deserve to be with Jess again. And his friend Joel was like, convincing him, like, he didn't need that, whatever. He was like, he was telling about the woman of his dreams, whatever. And it's just, can you just imagine telling your friend about this dream that you're having every night, that you're meeting this wonderful person, and this person is real, but you just can't, you don't know where they're at. But it was like so many clues, like, okay, he was an architect, she owned a restaurant, she said she changed her name, and she told him. And it was just so much, y'all. It was just really so much. And I really did enjoy this movie. Into My Dreams I will give it a 7 out of 10. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And once again, thank you so much, Jennifer, for allowing me to come and sit down and talk to you about this movie. Oh, I said Into My Dreams. It's In My Dreams. I do apologize. But I thank you so much again for letting me come in and talk about this movie. And this movie is currently streaming on Hallmark Plus, Tubi, and Pluto TV, and Plex. If you do not have Hallmark Plus. All right. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for that great recap, Alphia. And I do want to say that I agree with you. It's not a good taste to date someone that your friend previously dated. I think in this movie it's okay because Mario was not Natalie's one true love. Or I don't even think she really cared for him. I never got the impression she really cared for him. But either way, Nick was her dream guy. And so, of course, Mario needs a rebound. So why not Charla? So I think it's okay. But thanks so much for that recap. It's great having you on, as always, Alphia. I hope you all have a great day, everyone. Take care.